Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
Welcome to another show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bret Amundson. Thank you for tuning in on this station right here, or if you're watching it, maybe you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook, whatever, or downloading the podcast, wherever you're watching / listening to the show. Thank you very much. I mean that. With us as always, Dan Amundson over there. Dan, how you doing?
Doing real well.
Thank you for doing what you do over there. Dan's doing a great job for us, by the way. And we have a big show for you this week. Really cool show. How would you feel being 21 years old and winning a walleye tournament where some of the best walleye anglers really probably in the world are fishing at, and you win yourself a first place $121,000 prize package? Well, we'll find out. Eric McCoy is with us. He just won the NWT on Ottertail. Also, Drake Hurd is going to join us. He just won Angler of the Year. They're buddies. We'll find out how many secrets they shared between them and if they helped each other along through that tournament. And Eric Osberg was there in his shorts, dragging boats through the water. Why was he doing that? We'll ask him. Those guys are coming up as we recap the NWT here on this week's show. Also, Joe Henry is going to join us to talk about getting up to the Northwest Angle or fishing the Rainy River, or talk about some of his experiences fishing tournaments as well here in just a little bit. Dan, who is this week's show brought to us by?
Yeah, this week's show is brought to us by Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan a trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Ottertail Lakes Country, find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort on Devil's Lake. Plan a trip to Devil's Lake at haybaleheights.com. Onyx Hunt, know where you stand with Onyx. Prairie Sportsman, watch episodes anytime at prairiesportsman.org. Mid-Migration Outfitters, come hunt geese out at the famous Lac Parle Refuge in heated pits and comfortable blinds. Learn more at midmigrationoutfitters.com. And Tazen Lake Lodge, plan a trip of a lifetime to catch giant lake trout and pike at tazenlake.com.
Thank you, Dan. Of course, the duck opener here in Minnesota just took place. How was yours? I want to hear from you. Comment below or send us an email. Let us know how your duck opener went and whether or not you think the early teal season affected it or not. We had a pretty good Saturday where I was at. Dan and I did not hunt together this year. We hunted, and we had something pretty interesting happen to us this year on duck opener, Dan. I know you guys shot more birds than we did, but we shot something cooler, I think, where I'm at. And it was pretty funny. I was sitting there, I was hunting with some friends of mine, including Tony Crowley from Mid-Migration Outfitters, and we were hunting Canada geese in a silage field, and all of a sudden we hear this, and I was like, my gosh, is that, like, it didn't, my brain went haywire because I wasn't expecting to hear white-fronted geese or specks on the duck opener, or the waterfowl opener here in Minnesota. It's a little early. We're starting to see them come through more and more here in western Minnesota, but it's usually a little bit later in the season, and they come through and they're gone. Like, they're here for a day or two, maybe an extra day, but then they're gone. Like, it's almost impossible to try to hunt them. You just have to be in the right place at the right time when they come, and that's what happened. Like, I'm like, those are specks, and me and Tony looked at each other and we're like, couldn't believe it. And he goes, those are specks. So he dug through his blind bag. Dan, it was hilarious. He was just scrambling to dig through his blind bag, and he pulled out his DRC Nodak snow call. Dan's got a shot of it there that you can take a look at. And he started calling at the specks. He's got the way to manipulate the call to sound like a white front. So he's calling on this thing, and sure enough, those specks came over, spun around our field, and came right over the top of us, and we were able to shoot 4 of them. And there were some fist bumps and some high fives, and it's the first time I've gotten to pull the trigger on a speck in Minnesota. 2 of them are getting mounted. At least 2 of the 4 are getting mounted. And the best part, Dan, is we ate one of them. You got to eat one of them, too. I'd never eaten a speck before. I'd heard they're better than Canada's, and I didn't believe it. I've talked to some other people like, they're all the same. No, this was better. This was better than a Canada goose.
Yeah, it'll make you think twice about wanting to put one on the wall again. And They're awesome, but oh my gosh, they're delicious.
It was good. I mean, it was very similar to a Canada goose, and obviously cleaned them the same way. It looked pretty similar. Maybe it might be in my imagination, but they maybe had a little bit of a lighter color to them. And maybe it was my imagination that they tasted better too. I don't know. I did season them a little bit differently, and we cooked them a little differently, pan-fried them in bacon grease, and you can make anything taste good in bacon grease, let's be honest. But they were good. They were delicious. So that was a lot of fun for us. And Dan, it was kind of interesting actually what you shot on opener as well.
Yeah, we traveled. I went up and hunted with my dad and some buddies of ours, and we traveled up to Otter Tail Lakes country, actually. And normally, we do okay up there normally, but this year we did pretty well this year. Normally, we shoot a lot of blue wings, your typical early season, a few wood ducks. This year, it was about 98% green wings, 100%. Two blue wings the whole weekend. The rest were green wings, and a couple of gadwall, no mallards, no wood ducks. So pretty strange. Nothing I'd seen before, and a couple of guys were griping back at the hotel that we were staying at that blaming Youth Day and early teal for pushing their ducks out. And I saw more ducks than I have the last 3 years up there. I don't think that's the case. We might have something goofy going on with the migration, with you shooting specs and me shooting green wings a couple weeks early. Normally we don't see those till like MEA weekend, mid-October. So we might be a little early on the migration, and maybe because of the drought.
Here's my theory on it, and Dan, you nailed it, because we didn't see any blue wings really on opener either. Now, is that because we hunted blue wings a couple of weeks earlier, or is it because of the migration? There were a good 50 blue wing teal near my house that never got hunted during the early season. Believe me, we tried. But they never got shot at, they never got pressured, and they were gone. So they didn't leave because of hunting pressure. They obviously migrated out. The fact that you saw green wing teal and that we shot specs tells me that something is a little bit odd with the migration. So a lot of people are probably going to blame their opening season failures, if they had any, on this early teal season and potentially the youth season. But I think birds just were on the move early this year. And I think part of it is the drought conditions. When you go up north, Canada, the Dakotas, things have been so dry. When I was up in Saskatchewan, a lot of the ponds were completely dried up. So if birds are starting to move and they're not finding water, and if some of those crops didn't grow because of the drought conditions, they're not finding food, they're just going to keep pushing until they find food and water. And is that what happened? I don't know. I'm sure some other people will be thinking the same thing. We'll probably learn more after the season is over as more people discuss what the migration was like this year. In any case, we haven't had a lot of birds around us here in the last week. It's been 80, 90 degrees, windy, not great hunting conditions anyway. And I've actually been focused more on deer hunting. We hung a new big stand that we can film out of. So Dan and I are going to try to film some deer hunts this fall. So we've been kind of focusing on bow hunting anyway. And there is some deer news in Minnesota and Wisconsin for that matter right now, isn't there, Dan?
Yeah, once again, CWD is making the headlines, and once again, it's involved with commercial deer farms. The Minnesota DNR learned of 2 Minnesota deer farms that received deer from a CWD positive farm in Wisconsin. And so they're going through the process of trying to track down where those deer are now. That some of those deer got shipped off to other farms. Some they've discovered that some of those deer are dead. Some of these farms are out of business. So they're trying to track down where all these deer are at right now and figure out how much exposure there is and has been in our state again. So once again, deer farms and CWD hand in hand. But right now, we don't know of any risk to wild deer. That's the good news. We don't know of any exposure to a wild herd. So they're still going through the process on that. But then on the other side of the border in Wisconsin, EHD was found in La Crosse County. A landowner found 8 dead deer on their land and called it in, and they tested positive for EHD in La Crosse County. So that is making the rounds down there now as well. Bad stuff, nasty, bad stuff going around.
That's that epizootic hemorrhagic disease, or blue tongue is what they call it as well. And that happens when conditions get real dry. And then there's I think it's a midge. When conditions get real dry, these, I don't know if more midges are produced, or I'm not sure what the connection is, but these midges are out and they bite into these deer, and deer literally die within, I think, days of being bitten, maybe even hours. I mean, it's instant, and it can be devastating. And you hear about it more in the western states. The Dakotas, I've heard about EHD more, not as much down by La Crosse, but we got drought conditions. That kind of stuff's going to happen. Speaking of the Dakotas, non-resident duck hunting season, waterfowl season is going to open up in North Dakota.
That's right. Kicks off this weekend. So if you're headed up there or you're over there right now listening, we appreciate that, and good luck to you. Lots of ducks over there to be had, but make sure you've got your habitat stamp. and your game and fish fur bearer $2 fee, along with your non-resident license, which gives you either the full 14 days or 2 7-day periods to hunt over there. Manage those, use those wisely, but have fun and shoot a bunch of birds over there. It's North Dakota's a great time.
And I've been seeing a lot of geese getting shot in South Dakota too. So, and I saw specks early, and some buddies that were hunting in South Dakota were covered up in specks. So I think those birds are just pushing earlier this year. We'll see. In any case, also for pheasant hunters, I was all jacked about October 10th. I never once looked at the calendar. I just figured second Saturday in October we're good to go, because I feel like that's what it's been for a long time, or that's usually what it is. No, October 16th. So I just moved some dates around a little bit. It's a little later start this year, October 16th for Minnesota pheasant hunters. And then fall turkey season is going to open up.
That's right, this weekend as well. So get out and shoot. You can shoot one tom or one hen with shotgun, bow, crossbow, whatever you want. Get out and get some meat for your freezer.
Yeah, nice bonus bird for you, should you choose to do that. All right, make sure to follow us. Thank you for watching / listening. Great show for you here this week. Eric McCoy coming up, also Drake Hurd, Eric Osberg, and Joe Henry. A lot of fishing content coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Hit that notification bell, smash the like button, wherever you're watching this, or thank the radio station for carrying this show as well. Joe Henry when we come back.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts. 852 million acres of public land, 147 million private properties, all in the palm of your hand. The #1 hunting GPS app just got better. With hundreds of custom map layers, 3D and topographic maps, you can easily scout on the road or at home before you go. And now you can get important weather details, CWD detection, and even know what crops have been planted where. Get the most trusted hunting GPS app ever made. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.